They looked like harmless teenagers. But behind the selfies and schoolbooks, they were tracking their next targets like hunters. Not for money. Not for violence. For the high of touching fame without earning it. Los Angeles, 2008. The city of fame, image, and illusion. Indian Hills High School wasn't a place people bragged about attending. It was where students ended up after something went wrong. Behavioral issues. Expulsions. Emotional collapse. It was the last stop before giving up on a normal future. That's where Rachel Lee stood out. She wasn't loud. She wasn't popular. But she watched everything. She studied celebrity gossip the way others studied textbooks. She knew which stars had what handbags, what parties they went to, which clubs they liked, what zip codes they lived in. And she noticed something no one else seemed to care about. They kept posting their lives online. Unfiltered. Unprotected. Her best friend was Nick Prugo. A nervous, slight-built kid with panic attacks and no real direction. He had been suspended from another school. His parents didn't know what to do with him. But around Rachel, he felt seen. They bonded over TMZ clips, fashion blogs, and a growing envy of people who seemed to have it all, effortlessly. Their obsession wasn't just about glamour. It was about proximity. Famous people weren't unreachable anymore. They were a few clicks away. On a regular evening, Rachel came across a new paparazzi post. Paris Hilton. Out partying in West Hollywood. Designer heels, drink in hand, no bodyguards in sight. Then she clicked through a few older articles. Paris had said in an interview she often didn't lock her doors. She thought it was safer to let friends come and go from her gated mansion. Rachel turned to Nick. Her voice was quiet, but certain. She's not home. Right now. She's not home. Nick stared at her, unsure if it was a joke. But she wasn't smiling. What if we just went inside? No breaking in. No weapons. Just slip in. Look around. Take something small. A dress, maybe. A purse. Something she wouldn't miss. It wasn't theft in their minds. Not really. It was access. It was stepping through the glass screen of celebrity life and breathing its air for a moment. They didn't plan it that night. But the seed was planted. And from that moment on, their lives began moving in a different direction. Toward the glow of stolen fame. It started with Paris. She was the test. Rachel and Nick didn't need to break windows or disable alarms. Paris Hilton left a key under the mat. Literally. They found it on the first try. Inside, it was everything they imagined. Marble floors, racks of designer clothes, rooms that looked untouched. They didn't ransack. They wandered. They tried things on. They left with just a few items. Shoes. A bra. Maybe a clutch. No signs of forced entry. No mess. No one noticed. And that's when it clicked. If it worked once, it could work again. They had just robbed Paris Hilton, and she didn't even know. From there, Rachel became the architect. She started tracking celebrity schedules like a private investigator. TMZ. Paparazzi sites. Instagram. Google Maps. If a star posted from New York, their house in LA was empty. If they tagged a party, Rachel checked the time. Then the address. She built files. Mental ones, on everyone she followed. Where they lived. What they owned. When they were away. The Bling Ring wasn't born from violence or desperation. It was born from Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi alone. But they needed help. More hands. More clothes. More confidence. So Rachel brought in Alexis Nyers, a girl from the same social scene, obsessed with status, beauty, and reality TV. She was already filming a show called Pretty Wild. She lived in chaos. She was perfect. Alongside her came Tess Taylor, Diana Tamayo, and Courtney Ames, each drawn in for different reasons. Thrill, greed, approval. Nick didn't want more people. He felt the walls closing in. But Rachel kept control. She was the leader. The others followed her cues like background dancers on a stage. They drove around in stolen cars. Used stolen IDs. Wore stolen outfits to plan the next heist. And the next list of targets wasn't random. They went for icons. Megan Fox. Lindsay Lohan. Audrina Patridge. Orlando Bloom. Each house had a weakness, A low fence, a back door, no cameras. But the biggest weakness? Oversharing. The celebrities were broadcasting their own vulnerabilities in real time. And Rachel was listening. This wasn't petty crime anymore. It was organized. Curated. Styled like a runway show. They didn't just want money. They wanted to become the people they stole from. One outfit at a time. March 2009. Orlando Bloom's home. A modern compound tucked into the Hollywood Hills. Glass. Stone. Minimal security. Rachel had found it weeks before. She knew he was filming overseas. She knew his girlfriend, Miranda Kerr, wasn't in town either. She even knew which gate had been left slightly open from satellite view. The team: Rachel, Nick, Alexis, Courtney. No masks. No gloves. Just designer hoodies and borrowed confidence. They parked down the hill and walked. Slow. Controlled. No talking. Rachel found the side entrance. No alarm. They were in. The house was cold and still. But they moved like they belonged there. Nick went upstairs. Opened Bloom's closet. Custom leather jackets. Rare watches. Cash in envelopes. He filled a duffel bag like he was packing for vacation. Rachel drifted into Miranda's wardrobe. Rows of lingerie. A drawer full of jewelry. Designer handbags she had seen in Vogue. Alexis tried on sunglasses in the mirror. Posed. Laughed quietly. It wasn't burglary to them. It was dress up. A twisted version of shopping without paying. They spent nearly an hour inside. Took over $500,000 worth of items. Walked out calm. Clean. No alarms. No police. No one even knew it happened. Later that night, they laid everything out on the floor. Sorted the pieces. Tried things on. Took pictures. Posted some to MySpace. They weren't just stealing. They were performing. And as the weeks went by, the robberies got faster. Riskier. They hit Audrina Patridge next. Caught on her security cam. They hit Rachel Bilson. Again and again. They hit Lindsay Lohan. And that one was personal. Rachel idolized her. To walk into her closet, try on her heels, it wasn't theft. It was worship. They were in too deep to stop. Too many clothes. Too many secrets. Too many stolen moments. And each time they got away with it, they believed one thing a little more. No one is watching. But someone was. The first crack wasn't in a wall. It was in a camera lens. Audrina Patridge had surveillance. Grainy, low-res footage, but clear enough to see outlines, movements, the shape of a girl's walk. She turned it over to the LAPD. But without names, it was just background noise in a city full of crime. Still, it was the beginning. Inside the group, things were shifting. Nick had started to spiral. The adrenaline that once made him feel alive now made him sick. He couldn't sleep. He was using drugs to calm the panic. He kept asking Rachel, "What if we get caught?" Rachel brushed it off. They were too careful. Too smart. Too clean. But she didn't know Nick had started talking. Not to police, yet. To friends. Acquaintances. Bragging. Because what's the point of stealing a celebrity's Rolex? If no one knows you wore it? Then came the mistake. They hit Lindsay Lohan's house. But this time, there were cameras. And Lindsay noticed things missing immediately. The footage went public. TMZ ran it on loop. Side-by-side clips of stolen fashion and red carpet looks. Police compared the tapes. Movements matched the Patridge footage. They had a pattern now. Then came the tip. A friend of Nick's, someone he had bragged to, called it in. Said he knew who was behind it. Detectives ran his name. Nick Prugo. No priors. But young, nervous, and on their radar now. They picked him up for questioning. At first, he denied everything. But alone in the room, under pressure, he cracked. And once he started talking, he gave them everything. Names. Dates. Targets. Even which outfits they wore. In a matter of hours, the mystery vanished. What the police had seen as a string of high-end robberies was actually a group of teenagers with Google Maps, Instagram, and no sense of consequence. And just like that, the fantasy began to fall apart. The dominoes fell fast. After Nick's confession, LAPD got warrants. One by one, they hit the homes of every named suspect. They found closets stuffed with stolen designer pieces. Shoes from Paris Hilton's floor. Lingerie from Miranda Kerr's drawer. Rolexes. Bags. Sunglasses still tagged. Paris Hilton let police search her home to ID the items. But most of them, she hadn't even noticed were gone. The story hit the press hard. Not because of the value stolen, but because of who it was stolen from. The media dubbed them the Bling Ring. A name as flashy and careless as the crimes themselves. It was all over TMZ, News, and morning TV. Teenagers. From good neighborhoods. Stealing from icons like they were running errands. But this wasn't just a scandal. It was a betrayal of the culture that raised them. These kids weren't outsiders. They were products of Hollywood. Rachel disappeared. Vanished before police could arrest her. She fled to Las Vegas, hiding out at her father's place, pretending none of it was real. Alexis Nyers was arrested mid-shoot on her reality show Pretty Wild. The cameras were rolling when the cops knocked. She sobbed. Denied everything. But the evidence was already stacked. Her mugshot, crying, smeared makeup, defiant, became a symbol of the case. She kept saying, "I didn't do anything. I didn't know." But the court didn't care. The rest of the group cracked under pressure. Deals were cut. Sentences were handed down. Some walked with probation. Others served months behind bars. Nick was given a reduced sentence for cooperation. He tried to rebuild, but the internet never forgets. He would always be the kid who robbed Orlando Bloom. Rachel, once the mastermind, pled no contest. Served jail time. Then vanished from the spotlight. The dream was over. And the truth was colder than they ever imagined. They didn't become stars. They didn't get rich. They got caught. Not because they weren't smart, but because they believed they were untouchable. By the end of 2010, the case was closed. The media moved on. But the scars, they stayed. Rachel Lee served 16 months. She kept quiet after release. No interviews. No book deals. She enrolled in cosmetology school. Vanished from social media. Nick Prugo tried to reinvent himself. He spoke to reporters. Said he was manipulated. Said he wanted a second chance. But deep down he knew. His name would always come with an asterisk. Alexis Nyers? She got 30 days in jail. Served 1. Years later, she called the experience a turning point. Got sober. Became a recovery coach. But that mugshot, that arrest, is what made her famous. The others faded into background noise. Some stayed in California. Some left the state. None of them ever got what they really wanted. Because the truth is, they didn't steal for survival. They didn't break in for money. They wanted to feel something. To matter. To belong. And in chasing fame through the back door, they proved something about the world they worshipped. It's not the stars that are hollow. It's the pedestal. The Bling Ring didn't just rob celebrity homes. They exposed a generation's obsession. And when the lights faded, there were no heroes. Just a group of kids standing in the wreckage of someone else's dream. They didn't break in to steal. They broke in to feel seen.